Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's info session with TreePeople, where Indra and Anai will tell you everything you need to know about the company. Go ahead, Indra.
Thank you, Carla. I want to say thank you so much to West LA for hosting us. This is a really wonderful opportunity that we have to share what TreePeople does and this wonderful program that is the Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program. There are a lot of opportunities to get involved with TreePeople, which we will go over, but we're going to focus primarily on the Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program. And since we're a pretty intimate group today, I just want to offer to everyone that if at any point you have questions, feel free to send them in the chat, or you can even turn on your mic and speak up. So yeah, let me get my slides ready.
I forgot to mention, I'm also a student at West LA College, and I'm also taking a course to supplement the Planting Resilience program that I'm in, taking a conservation studies class there at West LA College. So there are many options, and this is just one of the great opportunities to be involved in the environmental field through AmeriCorps and TreePeople.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is our Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program. So in a very short summary, I'd say the Planting Resilience program is here to train AmeriCorps to care for and to plant trees, both in the city and in the mountains. So we have two different organizations working together to create this program. We have TreePeople, which is one of the largest environmental nonprofits in Southern California, partnering with a federal corporation called AmeriCorps, which focuses on community service opportunities. So we're going to go through who is AmeriCorps, who is TreePeople, and then how do they work together to create this program? And what would you do in this program as an AmeriCorps member? So without further ado, let's begin. So just wanted to mention very quickly that we do have a lot of job opportunities and internships at TreePeople right now. If you go to treepeople.org/careers and internships. Let me share that in the chat very quickly. Can I? Oh, not sure if I can do that while I'm sharing my screen. Ani, would you be able to share that link?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. And then we also, so we're hiring folks for several different positions, such as community organizers, grant billing specialists, and then several program managers. And then you see at the bottom, we also have the AmeriCorps member for the Planting Resilience program. And on the left is our flyer, which we will also share in the chat. I'll make sure that everyone has that by the end of this meeting. And then this opportunity, the AmeriCorps program, that's the one we're going to be discussing the most. But there are other ways to get involved. If you want to volunteer, you can. There are weekly volunteer events. You can go to our volunteer calendar at treepeople.org/volunteer. All right, and okay. So first, I want to explain AmeriCorps. So all the way back in the 1930s, Franklin D. Roosevelt created the New Deal. And a part of the New Deal was the Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC. And this photo is of one of the first Civilian Conservation Corps teams. These teams were tasked with community projects, mostly building infrastructure and land stewardship. So protecting some of the green spaces in the United States. And that Corps, the Civilian Conservation Corps, was the model for what came in 1992. Let's see, what was the act? It was the National Defense Authorization Act that created the National Civilian Community Corps, the NCCC. And that precipitated another bill in 1993 that officially created AmeriCorps, or the National Corporation for the Corporation for National and Community Service. So this has, although the name is new, the history, its chronicles are very far back in our history. And so really AmeriCorps does its best to engage citizens in community service and community projects. So there are lots of different focus areas. We have programs for lots of different things, from disaster services to education, even capacity building for certain nonprofit organizations. In a way, that's what Ani and I are doing right now. We are helping recruit for this AmeriCorps program. And then we also have environmental stewardship, and that is where the Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program comes in. We are a program that specifically deals with the environmental issues in the LA and Southern California area. So we have, AmeriCorps offers a lot of different benefits to its members. So to become a part of the Planting Resilience program, you first will register with AmeriCorps to become a member. Very streamlined, very easy process. And once you are a member, you can select different programs you wish to serve with. And there will be a bunch of benefits for each program. Each program will have slightly different benefits, but generally speaking, all programs will give you a living allowance. So that is, depending on the program, bi-weekly or monthly stipends, so that you can, you have some income as you are doing community service. There is also often educational awards upon graduation of the program. So with the Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program, there will be an educational award upon graduation, which you can use for past and future college expenses, or expenses for trade schools too. And all of the benefits specific to the Planting Resilience program we'll explain later on in the presentation. But also there's health benefits. There's an alumni network. So after completing your service program, you are worked into a network of different graduates from all sorts of different programs and professionals, so that you can find work. There's also loan deferment and interest forbearance. So while you are serving with AmeriCorps, you do not have to pay your loans, and they will not accrue interest. And then finally, there's professional development. Every program with AmeriCorps helps you build up experiences and network with people that you can use for your resume and future career. Okay. And now we are on to TreePeople. So we just explained AmeriCorps, and now we're going to explain who TreePeople is, what we do, and how these two organizations work together. And before we move on, just wanted to pause real quick. Does anyone have any questions about stuff regarding AmeriCorps I've brought up thus far? If not, that is okay.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, great. Ani, you can take it away.
Amazing, thank you. So with that, TreePeople is a nonprofit organization who has teamed up with AmeriCorps to provide work opportunities for people to build experience in the environmental field, because there are actually not enough people who have experience to work in environmental restoration. So this is an opportunity to get community members the experience that is needed in order for you to move on and to actually get a career working in the environmental field. Anything you want to add to that, Indra?
Nope, well said.
Cool. Thanks. If you can go next to the next slide, please. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so who we are. So TreePeople inspires and supports people of Los Angeles to come out and to actually plant and care for trees, not just trees, but we also plant native shrubs, flowers, but we do plant a lot of trees. With the tree planting, we have the ability to harvest more rainwater as it hits the ground and actually is absorbed by the trees. So it's not all just, it doesn't all just turn into runoff that goes into the ocean. So we are saving water and also helping to establish green equity and renew depleted landscapes in the mountains and in urban settings. So in the inner city. So TreePeople was actually born from the efforts of a teenager over 50 years ago and has involved more than 3 million people to plant and care for more than 3 million trees. We unite with communities to grow greener, shadier, more water secure city at homes, neighborhoods, schools in the local mountains. And we work with volunteer leaders using our unique citizen forester model, and also influence government agencies to enact these policies that will create more equity and to help restore land that has been that's been affected by wildfires, as you know, climate change is becoming more prevalent here. There's more work for community to do, and it takes community to go out and to be part of that solution, like I said before. Thank you. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So TreePeople's mission is to inspire, engage, and support people to take personal responsibility for the urban environment, making it safe, healthy, fun, and sustainable, and to share our process as a model for the world. So TreePeople works a lot with community, and if it isn't through community efforts, we wouldn't have the impacts that we've made so far with TreePeople, because it really takes the individual person to care and to feel a sense of responsibility to go out and to make a small change. And although one person might make a tiny change in this world, it all adds up to everything that a community can do together. So this is what we do. It's very community oriented, very much volunteer oriented, and that's our mission. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. So there's many focus areas that TreePeople has, and within all of these, they're like sub projects going on. So we have a forestry department, which works in the mountains. We have a variety of different projects going on at sites that were burned by wildfires, and we are there to restore the land and to bring back the native trees and native shrubs that will be more resilient for fires in the future. We also do community events in the inner city. So we have projects in Watts, Linwood, Inglewood, near Huntington Park. We have an education department that educates youth. We do tours of our headquarters. Our education department goes out to schools also and provides education for young people. And there are many projects going on and that are continuing to expand. We also have a parks and trails crew and department that works specifically within, we have a parks and trails crew at our headquarters of TreePeople up Mulholland. And we also have a land trust in Calabasas where they are preserving and restoring the mountains there. And lastly, we have the policy and research team, which is the team that helps to work on a policy level to enact solutions and laws that will provide more solutions and will bring in more of these projects. And we also have the research team. We have research being done within TreePeople. Something that Indra was brought up was that we've actually been part of a research project as AmeriCorps with TreePeople. We recently did a research study on conifers, also known as pine trees, where we planted a little bit over 2,500 trees in the upper elevation mountains to see which planting practice works best in those high elevation. So through this research, we did there were many variables with each tree that we planted. We planted from like tiny seedlings to seedlings that were a bit older. Different variables were, some were planted in the shade, some were planted directly under the sun, some were given a berm, which is like a bowl made of dirt that helps to capture water. Some were given cocoa mats, which is a type of mulch and also helps to maintain some of the moisture for the tree. So with all these variables, eventually we're gonna find and see what works best for a tree to grow. And then these practices will be passed down to other organizations such as the National Park Services or CAL FIRE, who does planting in upper elevation as well. So that is one of the research projects that TreePeople is working on right now. Thank you. Okay, so we have the forestry department, which is the urban, the city forestry, and the mountain forestry. So with the city urban forestry program, it empowers underserved communities with the inspiration, education, and then tools that we need to create greener neighborhoods and to become more resilient in the face of climate impacts. So as some of you may know, there is a shade inequity within underserved communities where there aren't as many trees planted, which results in the island heat effect, which means that those communities are more affected by climate change because those communities are hotter because there are less trees in those areas. So that's why we are making the effort to go into these communities. And it's part of, some of these communities are part of the communities that I grew up in. So it like hits home for me to be part of that and to be part of that change so that we can plant these trees and provide more shade. And there's so many benefits to trees in general, such as improving mental health, capturing rain, and also reducing sorry, I'm blanking. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one, but there's so many different benefits to trees in our city. And then we have the mountain forestry program, which trains and mobilizes community members to increase the climate and fire resilience of the Angeles National Forest and Santa Monica Mountains. So TreePeople engages over 6,000 community members and volunteers each year through the forestry program. As AmeriCorps members, we are out in the mountains fairly often, mostly in the Angeles National Forest, working at 2 different project sites that have been affected by, I believe, a couple different fires within the last 15 to 20 years. And they are very, again, like I said before, we have a lot of volunteers that come out. So through people wanting to dedicate their life to this career and to this work, we also engage with volunteer and community members to help restore these mountains, which is so needed. And then during the pandemic, we were able to plant more than 7,500 trees and over 4,500 plants, and take care of over 18,000 plants and trees throughout Southern California. And just to throw in there, our AmeriCorps cohort has been, we started our program last October, so it's been about 10 months. And in those 10 months, our small crew has helped to plant over 5,000 trees in the last 10 months. So that's some of the work that we've done in the last 10 months, which is really amazing. And it's something that you can also potentially help to do and to leave that little mark of change. All right, Indra, can you go over to the next one? Thank you. So some of the weekly tasks that we do in the Planting Resilience program with TreePeople is that right now we're in a tree care and maintenance phase. Now that we've moved on to the summer, it's not planting season right now. Right now we've planted all our trees in the fall to spring. And now we're in the maintenance phase where we are watering plants, taking care of weeding, taking out some of those plants that are choking out those native plants that we planted. So taking out the ones that aren't going to benefit the lands, and really encouraging these plants to thrive and to grow. We do tree planting. Like I said, we planted over 5,000 trees in the last 10 months, and that is something that's going to start in the fall and go into about spring, late spring season. We do fruit distribution events as well, all throughout the city. Most of them are in Inglewood, Watts, Cudahy, around like Huntington Park. And we distribute fruit trees for free for community members. Another benefit of the program is that you get certifications and you get to be part of workshops that are educational and that you can learn so much from. So I think we'll go a little bit more into what certifications you can receive if you join the Planting Resilience program. Thanks, Indra. If you can go to the next one, por favor.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add one thing here. So it might be hard to distinguish thus far between the Planting Resilience AmeriCorps program and TreePeople itself. So I wanted to say that the way that these two organizations are working together is, so AmeriCorps is this federal corporation that TreePeople has petitioned for a program. So every year, TreePeople has been reaching out to AmeriCorps and asking for the corporation to send members to TreePeople. So that is how AmeriCorps is incorporated with TreePeople. So on behalf of TreePeople, AmeriCorps sets up these benefits, which we're going to go into, to encourage folks to join TreePeople. And this particular program is going to start October 10th, and it's of this year, and it's going to go until September 7th of 2024. So just under a year of service. In case we didn't establish this already, but this particular program is workforce development. So there is absolutely no expectation that anyone has previous education or work experience in the environmental field. This program is for building people up for success in a career environment who have no previous experience. Yeah. Great. Go ahead, Ani.
We do have a question. Let's pause and see if anyone else has a question. Ebony Walton asked, how does the location placement work? Do you want to answer that, Indra?
Yeah, okay. So the location placement, I assume that question is for the AmeriCorps members themselves. So we are looking as long as any AmeriCorps member has reliable transportation to our headquarters at TreePeople, which is at Coldwater Canyon Park off of Mulholland, then that is all you need to work with us. We usually meet at Coldwater Canyon Park early in the morning around 6 a.m. every day. Does that answer your question?
And just to
So as long as someone has access to the Mulholland office, that's where they be working out of?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
yeah, so just to, I'm not sure if we're going into like the breakdown of like a little bit of more like what it looks like or from our day-to-day.
Maybe it would behoove us to go into the nitty-gritty. We're kind of talking in this presentation about the general tasks, but yeah, did you want to talk about like what an average day looks like?
I'll just throw in there that like in regards to like location placement, like like Indra said, our headquarters is up Coldwater Canyon next to, what's that park called? Franklin.
Oh no,
Franklin, I believe it's like Franklin Canyon Park.
That sounds right. I'm gonna trust you.
Anyway, this is a really popular park. It's right across the street from there. So that is right in between Beverly Hills and Studio City, right in a mountain at the top there. So it really depends on what we're doing. Our weeks kind of vary. So we could meet at headquarters and drive out to a location out in the mountains together. Other days, we might be maybe like once a week, twice a week, depending on what the week looks like. We might drive out to our urban tree care or urban planting out in Inglewood, Watts, Cudahy, and we might do work there, which requires you to drive to the location on your own, which we typically do. Other than that, we might meet, we're meeting at headquarters, like Indra said, at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. Sometimes we also work at we've been working at the LA River in Studio City. doing some maintenance on the path next to the LA River. So it just varies. There's a lot that you get to be involved in. You get to be involved in a lot of the projects that TreePeople has as an AmeriCorps member, so that you can get to know all the different projects and also help out with them. So yeah, so it kind of depends on what our day looks like and where we'll be going that day. But we do have work trucks where we can all drive to a site together. Yeah, I hope that provided a little bit more information. Anyone else have any questions about TreePeople or anything I've
I have
talk-
another question about the location thing. So is there an option to just be at the, I think you said South LA or Watts locations, to work out of those, or does everyone have to work out of the Mulholland Drive location?
So with AmeriCorps, we work as a crew, which means that one day we might go out to the mountains and do some maintenance or plantings in the mountains. So we'll all either meet at the headquarters and drive out, or you could drive out yourself. Another day, we might all as a crew be working in Watts or South Central, and requires you to drive on your own there. If you're wondering if that's more convenient to you or something that you want to be more involved with, there are job opportunities specifically in like South Central, Inglewood area, Watts area. But that is not part of AmeriCorps. That would be a TreePeople employment, which you can find on the TreePeople website. I just put up the link again, and there's jobs and internships there. But in regards to AmeriCorps, it kind of just depends on who needs help, what crew needs help from TreePeople, and AmeriCorps is support for those crews to get more things done and also get some field experience for us. So there isn't, with AmeriCorps, there isn't an option to just work in South Central or Inglewood. It's you get the the more wholesome experience of doing all the projects.
Okay, awesome. The jobs with just TreePeople, are those all full-time or are those part-time? And very schedule also?
It varies depending on the position. Each one will describe how many hours you can expect a week. Yeah,
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. All right, if there are no other questions, we can continue. We're almost done with the presentation, and then we'll have some minutes left in our hour for questions, if there are any at the end. You ready, Anai?
Yep, thanks. Awesome. So we do have many tree care events. If y'all would like to get some experience or get to know what these events look like before joining AmeriCorps or before possibly getting an internship or job with TreePeople, you can volunteer. We have a TreePeople calendar where you can find all the events that you're able to volunteer at, and I highly encourage you to do that. So our tree care events, some of the things we do tree watering, especially right now during the season, we're mostly watering trees. We're removing weeds and grasses out of the area where we planted that tree. So if you see in that picture, that's what's called a berm. It's like a donut shaped dirt pile that helps to hold water. And yeah, so we're removing weeds from that area. We're pruning trees back and allowing them to grow properly. Like I said, we are working on those berms, rebuilding them, widening them up so that they can hold the water. And we also add mulch to provide, it helps to keep the soil moist after we water them. And also we fix and replace stakes. So the sticks that hold up the trees need some fixing at times. So we do that with our tools, which is something you'll also get to work on, is learning how to use tools and a variety of tools, which is a great thing to learn. And if you want to move forward in the environmental field, it's something very necessary, is to learn how to use tools. So some of the benefits of tree care is to hydrate the trees. It helps to the tree to grow up upright and strong, and not just trees, but shrubs too. The berms retain water, and it helps the trees to have a higher chance of surviving in their early years. So what a lot of other nonprofits have done is, or Cal Fire, who does tree plantings, is that they sometimes plant trees and have no maintenance phase afterwards. And that's where TreePeople has a very high success rate with the plantings we do. I believe it's something like 75% of the trees and plants that we put in the ground survive, because we have the maintenance phase, because we're out there on the hot days, we're watering, we are maintaining the berms, we're weeding all around, and giving the plant the best chance at surviving. Okay, thanks, Indra. Can you go to the next slide, please? Perfect. So our tree planting activities consist of digging holes. So it's a physical job. We're digging holes in order to plant our shade trees, which are in 15-gallon buckets. So you'll definitely build some muscle, as I have. I'm sure Indra has too. So once we have to build, we have to dig the hole at a certain size and depth. Once we put it in, we put the tree stakes and the ties, so that if there's any wind, or if the bark of the tree is too weak, we have those stakes to hold it in place so that it can grow up straight. So then we water our tree once it's in the ground, and you also have the option to name the tree. So the benefits of planting trees is that it improves air quality. It helps, like I said, mental health, mental clarity. It increases shade. It prevents flooding. It attracts local pollinators. It beautifies the community. Planting is a great workout, like I said. There's also more benefits that aren't on here, like it reduces crime even. I think because it's so connected to mental health, there's a lot of benefits to, having trees, especially, in the neighborhoods that don't have the trees, that don't have as much shade, that are surrounded by warehouses, a lot of industrial warehouses. Those are the places that need the most shade equity. which is where I grew up. I grew up in South Central, and there was definitely a lack of green spaces and trees. And now I'm just passionate about being outdoors all the time. It really helps my mental health too. So I highly encourage y'all to go outside, to volunteer and be part of, like I said, this solution that we're all making an effort for. All right, next slide, please. And then we have the fruit distribution events where we give out free fruit trees to the community, to Watts, Linwood, Inglewood, those areas, South Central. And AmeriCorps is involved because TreePeople promotes the events. They distribute flyers. We have a community organizing group in South Central as well that does canvassing. And as AmeriCorps members, we also help to support in canvassing. On the day of distribution, we maintain event organization. We handle the trees, we move them around, we interact with our community. We check in with them and help them choose a tree. And there's also phone banking opportunities. We are able to promote more of these events when the community comes out, and we help get people involved, and people have responded to it really well. People like that we're out there planting trees and improving the communities. And that's why we also have a lot of volunteers come out and help in their own communities to be involved and plant those trees. Okay, next slide. And this is you,
Okay.
Indra.
It is. Let me turn my video back on. All right, so on top of all of the tree care and fruit tree distributions and tree plantings, through this program, you will have lots of opportunities to earn certifications, and there will be workshops that will expand your own knowledge of this field, of this environmental field, and the work you're doing. So one of the great benefits of this program is that you will get a wilderness first aid certification. There is a 2-day workshop that all of the AmeriCorps members for the Planting Resilience program take, and you will be able to know how to respond to certain medical emergencies that might happen out in the wilderness. Dovetailing with the wilderness first aid certification is the CPR and AED certification. And AED is the defibrillator. So you'll know some basic tools, some basic responses to basic situations you might encounter in the wilderness, and you'll know how to do CPR. Luckily, very luckily, you don't have to do that hardly ever. I don't think we've ever had to put that knowledge to use while we're out in the field for this service program, but it's really good to know in case you do. And then there's also lots of materials that you can take home to review, and there will be days dedicated to learning about native versus invasive plant identification. Especially in the mountains, it's very important to understand the distinctions between what is a native species, what has grown in the surrounding wilderness in Southern California for like thousands, if not millions of years, versus European and African crops and Asian crops that have come in and are outcompeting in many cases the native species and reducing the biodiversity of our natural landscape. And then there's also a government resume building workshop. So a lot of, if you want to continue in the environmental field, a lot of opportunities will be through the federal government. And understanding this, this AmeriCorps program allows all of its members to do a resume building workshop specifically for the USA Jobs job board online. So usajobs.gov is a great resource for lots of federal positions that you can apply to. And we will all have a day to build our resumes specifically for this site. So yeah, lots of great things to build your experience and knowledge through this program. And then, of course, we need to talk about all of the many benefits that you will get as an AmeriCorps member in the Planting Resilience program specifically. So a lot of these things we've touched on earlier in this presentation, but I want to go very quickly into the specifics of each of these areas. So while you are an AmeriCorps member in the Planting Resilience program, you will not have to pay loans on your student debt, and interest on your student loans will not accrue. Also, there is a living stipend. Every 2 weeks, every AmeriCorps member in the Planting Resilience program will receive about $920 before tax, which you can use for anything from food to housing to entertainment. In total, it will amount up to $23,000 for the entire program from October 2023 to September 2024. There is, excuse me, an educational award at the end of the program. After completing your service term, you will receive $10,000 that can be used to pay current student debts, or you can use it to pay for tuition for college or a trade school in the future. That educational award is specifically for education. You will not be able to use that money for anything else. Then there is limited health coverage. AmeriCorps members in the Planting Resilience program will be eligible for health insurance through TreePeople. For more information about the health coverage, if you have questions, you can ask us, and then we'll get you in contact with our AmeriCorps coordinator, Slim Kuntz, who would be able to speak to that more. And then finally, there is lots of food assistance that you are eligible for through the Planting Resilience program. Importantly, this position as a Planting Resilience AmeriCorps member is not a job, it is a service opportunity. The living stipend, by extension, is not a wage. It is not counted as anything other than a living stipend, a government living stipend. Therefore, as AmeriCorps members in the Planting Resilience program, you are considered unemployed and can therefore receive full EBT or food stamp benefits, which is several $100s a month. And that is all that we had to share with our presentation here. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm so glad that West LA gave us the time and space to talk to you all about this program. Want to be respectful of your time. We ended with just 3 minutes to spare in our hour, but if there are any questions that you all have for us in these final minutes, please, we'd like to answer anything, any outstanding questions you have.
Yes, it's a set a wildland. We remember to talk about planning resilience.
I'm sorry, I think my connection was a little spotty.
Hi.
Could you repeat your question?
Yeah, so it is.
Mhm.
There's a lot to. How's it going?
Hi. Sorry, if
Hi,
you asked the
Cody.
question, I didn't hear.
Hi, Kama.
Hi, Cody. So if you have a question for them, let them know. Otherwise, you can always reach out to us and we can forward your questions to TreePeople.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Any other questions before we head out? Okay.
Is there an age restriction?
Great question. You have to at least be 18 years old for this program. Other than that, no age restriction.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Just really quick, I'd like to throw in my personal experience as being part of the Planting Resilience program. I really was interested in working in the environmental field for a bit over a year. But I did notice that a lot of the job opportunities required some experience. So you can either volunteer with a nonprofit, or another option is to join AmeriCorps, where you gain enough experience within your service term, and you build up all the tools you need in order to move forward into the field of doing restoration work. And in the time that I've been there, I've learned so much. I've learned plant identification. I've learned a lot more of the nitty-gritty of like what a plant needs and what the importance is of native plants, and what purpose they serve in the land that we're on and in the mountains, because they do really serve a purpose. They are fire resilient, and they actually thrive and are able to bounce back after fires. So I've gained that. I've learned to use so many different tools. I've also really benefited and like really loved the wilderness first aid course that we took. And being with this program has allowed me to gain more interest in the field and explore different options in the environmental field. And this will give you similar opportunities and give you some field experience, which is really necessary in the environmental field. So yeah, that's some of the things that I've benefited from. I've also met so many wonderful people, and have been able to network with so many people doing really great work. And I find myself bumping into so many of these people at different projects around the city, different nonprofits doing wonderful work, and being able to build that community of people that are doing what they can in order to make that change and to help heal the land has been really nice to be part of.
Ditto. If there's one last thing I want to underscore, it's like this program really is educational. Like that is one of the main purposes of this program for the AmeriCorps members. If you want to learn, this is the place. If you want to learn about your local ecology and how to do environmental work, this would be the program. And before we head out, I just want to share very quickly the AmeriCorps flyer so you all have it in case you don't. I'm just going to send that in the chat. Yeah. If I can. There we go. Follow.
Thank you so much for all the wonderful information. You, Anae, Indra, everyone at TreePeople, you're doing wonderful work. You're helping the environment. And like you said, I didn't know all these benefits about mental health, and you're helping people. You're helping trees and people. Thank you so much again for coming and sharing all that info. I want to share a slide for the students, any students here and any student watching who is in the work experience program. I want to share this slide here. Here we go. So please take a screenshot of that if you're here now. Otherwise, take a screenshot later when you watch this at home. And thank you again. Let me stop the share now. I'll stop the share. All right, if no one has questions, I guess this is the end. Unless anyone has questions or you have anything else to add, I think we're all good. Let me stop the recording first of all. You know, these buttons move around when you change your screen size. Okay, let me stop
They
the
really
recording.
do.